Our families are those people in our lives that we love, that we sometimes are not sure where they fit, that we sometimes love to hate. Families. This is a great time of the year for a lot of people, but it's also a stressful time of the year for some because families, those people who know us the best, they have the best way and sometimes have the best intentions, but they sometimes get under our skin. But enjoying families is really the heart of health and happiness. It is a big part of health and happiness. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight as we go through this episode. Glad that you're joining me. Hey, if you're new, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to put their diabetes in remission, who want to reverse their diabetes. That's right. Get off of medications and improve their metabolic health. If you're new to me as well, go ahead and put new in the comments because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that we are glad that you're here. If you have questions, go ahead and put those questions into the comments because I would love to get to those. And as I'm looking through, that way I can identify those. Whatever platform you are on right now, I'm glad that you're here. If you are on Instagram or Twitch or LinkedIn or Facebook, and of course here on YouTube, welcome, and glad that you are joining us. I do see some community members out there. We're going to say hi here in just a minute. And if you know how we do here on the show, you get to see what has been going on with me, with my numbers and so forth. So I've got off to the side. Here is my monitor that we'll take a look at, my Keto Mojo and my Contour. I'm going to bring up on the screen here in a minute my Libre, which you'll see. Down right below is normally what my glucose, my Dexcom report says. It doesn't show right now, but here is, you'll see there up in there, right over here. Yeah, right there. You'll see what my Libre is showing that my blood sugar is, and we'll take a look a little bit more look at that a little bit later. If you think you know what my ketones are going to be, all right? If you think you know what my ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop those in the comments because I am now, let's see, 24 20, so 30 plus hours, almost 31 hours into this week's fast. We'll talk about that as we go through the rest of the show. But let me hop over and say hello. And I do see, let's pop this one. I do see Juyan is out there, and she says, hi all, hello, hi all, hello doctor. This is great to see you. Thanks, glad that you're here, Juyan. Love my mom, but sometimes hate mom, but love so much again. Family can give heart and heart. Yes, families are those people that know us the best, and sometimes those are the ones that can get under our skin the most, right? Because they do know us. They do know us the best. All right. So let's go ahead and let's set the tone for what we're doing and why we're doing this, and we get into our conversation. So in the New Year, New You process, New Year, New You, that's the journey that we've been on. And the New Year, New You process, the New Year, New Journey, I guess I should say, is with the intention of reversing diabetes. That is what the plan is. As you heard at the top of the show, I said I'm talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes, improve their metabolic health, get off of medications, right? So that is the premise, and that is the plan that we're working on. That is the journey that you are on. We're talking to adults with type 2 diabetes who want to reverse their diabetes. As we've moved along the journey, we've learned several tools, lots of different tools. In fact, tools like emotional intelligence, how to create a meal. We've learned about balanced bites, how to think about food as we are working through the process of improving our health. What kinds of foods should we eat? How often should we eat? What combination of food should we eat? Starchy vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, the benefit of proteins and ketones and fats. And all of those are tools that we've learned. And one of the tools that we've learned in the process is the tool of fasting. Fasting is amazing because it hits all of the pillars, the three pillars that we have that we talk about when we talk about reversing diabetes. That is decreasing insulin, suppressing the appetite, and of course, reducing sugar. So fasting as a tool hits all of those, because if we are fasting, then we're not eating, or we're cutting back on carbohydrates, so we've reduced sugar. Because we reduce sugar, then the insulin doesn't have to be produced as much in our body, or we don't have to take as much insulin from outside. So we've hit pillar number one, which is reducing or decreasing insulin. And because insulin is an appetite stimulator, when we reduce insulin, then our appetite is reduced. So we've decreased insulin, we suppressed the appetite, and we have also reduced sugar. So fasting hits all of those. And so in the process of New Year, New You, in the process of learning, in the process of improving our health, how do we fast successfully? And that's where we are right now. So on a weekly basis, I do a 72-hour fast. Our community members have done fasting at various lengths, extended fasting, 72, 48, 96 hours we did 1 week, 106 hours we did 1 week. And people are doing fasting for lots of different phases. We've done shows where we talked about the different lengths of fasting. Go back and watch that. Those are on the channel. We've also done shows where we've talked about the particular type of fast and what disease process it is shown to improve. That is also on the channel. But how do we fast successfully? And what are some things that we need to pay attention to as we're fasting? And in the process of doing that, there are several other things that we learn as we talk about fasting. In this case, we're talking about how family, how community can help with our heart, help with our health, help with our happiness. Because that is a big part of the metabolic syndrome, the metabolic process. So those of you who are out there who are thinking, wait a minute, I'm not diabetic, so this is not for me, I want to encourage you that that is not the case. Diabetes is the prototypic metabolic disease. In other words, it is associated, has components of lots of other metabolic diseases. And you saw that there, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, coronary artery disease, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, and on and on and on. And that's just a smattering. That's just a small portion of the things that diabetes encompasses or diabetes is associated with. So even if you're not diabetic, if you're pre-diabetic, if you struggle with weight, if you struggle with polycystic ovarian syndrome, if you are in the orbit, in the community with someone who is diabetic, this show, this episode, this process, this journey that we're on is also a journey for you. And you want to make sure that you stay by, because if we could find what works for diabetes as the prototypic disease, then those things will also be work. They will also work for other disease processes within that process, within that sphere. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and hop over and let's take a look at my blood sugars. And you saw a little bit of that a minute ago. So here is my, this is my Freestyle Libre. This is a Freestyle Libre 3 Plus, I believe. And you'll see there for the last 12 hours that my blood sugar starting if you see that white squiggly line that's there near the middle of the bottom in the grayish green, that is the graph of my blood sugar. And you'll see that for most of today, I've been 150 or lower. And right at about, 6:30 or 7 o'clock, then it went below 100, and it's been kind of staying there for most of the last several hours. Let's go ahead and take a look at my Dexcom. This is my Dexcom G7. I think this is just a G7, not a G7 Plus. And you'll see if I do a 12-hour view, you'll see kind of the same thing there, that starting about 12 hours ago, we were, according to this, we were actually right below 150, and then hop up to about 150, and then has been dropping over the course of the afternoon to the point where, let's see if we could find a place where we drop below 100. Not quite yet, according to this. Just skirting right above 100. Okay, and let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's take a look at what my. Let me go back to this one. Take a look at what my monitors are showing. And so over here I have a Contour glucose meter, and over here is a Manjaro. I said Manjaro, Keto Mojo, right? So Keto Mojo gives me both a glucose and it also gives me ketones. So let's go ahead and let's come over to this view. Grab a test strip for the Contour and get that in here. So this is Contour. And then here I have two strips. One is a test strip for blood sugar for the Keto Mojo, and one is a test strip for ketones for the Keto Mojo. Let's go ahead and open this one first and get that in there. If you think you know what my ketones are going to be, go ahead and drop those in the comments. And then here, let's go ahead and open this one. I'm going to open this also because, as you know, sometimes if I'm not quick enough, that drop of blood dries and then I have to poke myself again, which I do not want to do. So I'm going to open that and leave it off to the side. And let me do one thing real quick because I think this is maybe a little brighter than I want it to be. Let's see. Let's turn it down just a hair. Okay, is that better? I think so. Change that. Okay. All right, so that should be fine now. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to reach into my container and let's grab. Are they all done? No. As you know, I've become. Oh, there you go. Partial to. I've got several types of Lancets in here. I've got this one, and then of course some of these others. I like this one because it's simple and it gives me pretty much most of the time. It will give me the stick that I need and get me a drop of blood. So if I twist off the top here, you should be able to see there's a little needle. Let's see if I do it right there. See the needle? And so I'm just going to grab a finger. I don't use the Lansing device, right? I just find a finger and I poke it. And ow, 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 ow. Hopefully that gives me a good drop of blood. Yes, it did, because it did hurt a little bit. Let's get that started. So that's my glucose for the Keto Mojo, and here it is for the Contour. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this milking because I need another drop of blood when I change. Okay, so 91 for the Keto Mojo, 96 for the Contour. And then, of course, on the screen, you'll see there, that is my Libre, and it says that it's 102. And as you are aware that those numbers can vary. In fact, the standard is that they can vary up to 20%. Now, if you're out there, you know that sometimes you have a glucose meter or you have a blood sugar that is much different from that 20%, and there are lots of reasons for that. All right, so let's move over here because I don't want you to quite see that yet. Go ahead and drop in the comments what do you think the ketones are going to be, all right? And we'll come back and we'll look at those in just a little while. Let me get that off the screen because I don't want you to see that accidentally. All right, and so we're talking about family. We're talking about family. And, you know, I come from a pretty big family. There are 6 boys, 6 not 6. My mom would go crazy. there are 3 boys, 3 girls, right? So that's my brothers and my sisters. And recently, well, I shouldn't say recently, but we're going to be seeing each other over the holidays. At least some of us are going to be seeing each other over the holidays. And when I think about family, family can be a catalyst for lots of change. Family can also be a catalyst for dysfunction. And so what we want to talk about is, what is the role of family? How does family really support us in our health and our happiness? Okay, so that's essentially what we're going to talk about. And this is a great time to talk about it, because we are coming into times of Thanksgiving and celebration. And so as you are approaching family, as you're getting ready to travel, as some of you are actually at the family's house right now, right, watching this, I want you to understand that, and this is probably the overriding thought, right? This is probably the overriding thought that I want you to get, is that family has a huge benefit to our health, because family is community. Family can also be the place where we find some of the most difficult relationships. But that doesn't mean that it is not worth the process of learning what needs to happen as we move into those spaces. Okay, I want you to hear me. Because if we can develop those relationships to the point where they are providing the benefit that we need, then family is a great place, a wonderful place for us to begin developing and for us to begin understanding how our bodies work, how our thoughts work, what things affect us, how to interact with each other, how to interact with other people, because we're talking about unlimited potential, unlimited living, limitless living. And if we're going to do that, then we have to understand that there are some spaces where we have to do some work, and family is that space like that. Okay? All right. So the role of family in health. So studies show that strong family bonds improve mental and physical health, and they reduce stress and anxiety. I almost don't need to say anything else, right? Because that right there encompasses a lot of what we do and what we talk about in our health. So when they do studies on people who are in families that have strong family bonds, they see improvement in mental health because family supports us. Let's back up. Let's go back to some of the early conversations that people had when it comes to socialization, development, community, and our well-being. When studies were done way back when, babies who were connected did better than those babies who were not. So you'd pick the baby up. In fact, there's a whole group now that is involved with going to hospitals, going to the NICU, going to the ICU, and finding those children and giving them comfort. Because perhaps mom is not able to do that right now. Mom may be sick. Mom is in the hospital herself. And so there are people who come by, and they're volunteers, and they sit and they rock the baby. They hold the baby. They feed the baby. And the connection that they get improves their mental health. The connection that they get leads long-term to better physical health. It leads long-term to the ability to manage anxiety and stress better. Because there's connection. Because there's family. Now, let me hasten to say that family, and we said family, but family takes a lot of different forms. I was talking to a gentleman recently, and he said, when I was young, my parents couldn't take care of me. And so they sent me to live with an uncle. And the uncle was basically who raised him. My own story is one of growing up for the formative years of my life with my grandparents. And so my family looked different until I moved to live with my parents. And then it looked different. And then I went away to college and university and went to medical school. And as I moved through each of those spaces, my family looked different. They had a different characteristic. And now, of course, we have a different shape of our family. So the connection that you make, the connections that you have, whether it's as you're growing up as a child or as you now are developing your own families, those connections are important because they help to improve mental health. They help to improve physical health. They help to reduce anxiety. They help you deal with stress. So your family may look much differently than someone else's, but the bonds are still there. A great place for family connections is at meal times. Right? You guys remember the shows in the old shows. And here's the thing, and I have got to admit that sometimes we get so busy that we don't take the time to sit down at mealtime anymore. But in our house, we have a time where we sit and we eat. Of course, my son is always, he's eating, right? Because he's hanging out with the old folks, me and his mom. But family meal times have been shown to have better dietary habits. People who do that have better dietary habits, especially kids, because they get to see, they get to experience. It is a time of fellowship. So we're not just eating and rushing through the food, watching TV, playing a game on the phone, but we're actually engaging. And when we engage, we are mindful. There is some comfort that is surrounding the situation. And it's not necessarily that we're comforting with food. We're comforting with the community that we are part of, the family relationship, the family dynamics, the conversations that we have. When I come home, I ask my son, hey, how was school today? What did you guys learn? Before he goes to bed, I say, hey, tell me one thing about today. Right? So we're having those conversations. That happens around food. That happens around the table. That happens around mealtime. I said food, but I should say meal time, right? Because it's not just the food. Right? So emotional support from family can increase resilience. Resilience is that ability to bounce back when something doesn't go well, something doesn't go the way we expected, something doesn't go the way we anticipated, something doesn't go the way we planned. The ability to bounce back from that. A lot of the resilience that we have comes from the support that we get from community, from the family. And it motivates you in the middle of life's changes. So there are lots of things that happen. I think I've told you about a friend of ours who, when I was going through medical school and having difficulty, and I ran into him one day and I was explaining to him that, hey, I don't think this is for me. I don't think I'm going to do this. I don't think I can make it. And he said to me, Dr. Woode, I wasn't a doctor at the time. He said, Dr. Woode, you are a doctor. We just need to get you a degree. Part of my family. And we've adopted and attached ourselves to them. He's passed on now. But that was a way of helping me be resilient. So the support that I got from him, support I got from his family, really pushed me, carried me, supported me, sometimes dragged me. in the process of being resilient, and in the process of encouraging me to move on and to do what I needed to do to be able to be here so I can talk with you. Right? So look at that. That started years ago. He didn't know that he was helping me, putting me in a position so that I can now be here with you. So when we're with family, it helps us to adopt healthier habits. Healthier habits. So the great point right here. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Right? Remember the heat model? Those are the triggers, right? We get triggered because of the habits we form around food, the routines that we've fallen into. We get triggered because of emotions, when we're happy, when we're sad, when we're glad, when we're mad, when we're frustrated, when we're tired, when we're bored. It pushes us to eat. We eat because of the things that are around us, the food that's around us, the things that are available, readily available, that we can just reach out and grab. If it weren't there, we wouldn't have eaten it. And we eat because of taste, what the memory of the food, what we felt like when we ate that food that time, when we were with that person, and how, right, all of that stuff is in there. When we are with family, when we have bonds, when we have connection with family, family helps us to cope with life rather than buffering with life. Buffering life. So remember, buffering, those are those behaviors that we put in place that really separate us from the things that are going on. This is why people become addicted. This is why people develop unhealthy ways of dealing with relationships. This is why people avoid, why people procrastinate, why people get involved with substance abuse, right? All those things. Why people eat, emotional eating. But when we have connection with family, when we are able to engage with family, when we are able to bond with family, the family provides support, the family provides comfort, the family provides the ability for us to be resilient, and we begin adopting healthy habits, healthy ways of dealing with things. We begin to cope rather than buffer. Remember, we interact with life in two ways. We cope with it, that is finding ways of getting through life, moving through life, improving life, addressing things that are going on in our lives, or we buffer by avoiding. We buffer by putting up a wall. We buffer by ignoring. We buffer by delaying. But when we're in family, when we're in community, the family helps us to be better, helps us to develop coping skills rather than buffering behaviors. All right, so family meals, right? We talked a little bit about family meals. So family meals can be a pillar for connection. So within the family, right? I remember, like I said, I come from a sizable family. And one of the things that we did a lot was we entertained. We would sit and eat. I remember when we lived in our apartment, and this was right around the time when I first came and moved with my family, with my parents. We would sit around the table. At the time, there were four of us. Four of us. We hadn't gotten the other two yet, but we would sit around the table and we would eat. Right? As a family, sat down at the table and ate. And it helps to build communication because you get to talk and see and hear. Hey, what went on today? Oh, that one's not having a good day. Or this happened then. Oh, and we just got to talk. And it strengthens the relationship. Sometimes just having conversations strengthens relationships. One of the things I love sometimes one of the things I love is sometimes I will go and my son is sitting and watching TV, and particularly as he was growing, he's a little older now, so he's got, his own schedule. But I would sometimes just go and sit. Not necessarily because I wanted to say anything, not because I wanted us to do anything, but just to be in his space, be in his presence, for us to have time together. Because proximity sometimes will develop conversation. And conversation leads to connection. And connection leads to improved relationship. So number one, it helps to strengthen. This is talking about meals, right? A pillar, right? It strengthens communication, strengthens relationships. So how do we go about making family mealtime more meaningful? Number one, you ready? You ready? Turn off the screen and be fully present. Mindfulness, right? We talked about mindfulness before. So turn the screen off and be present here. So this isn't time for us to, everybody's on there. Have you ever been to the restaurant? Right, and you see some people sitting at the table, family maybe, and everybody's on their phones, scrolling. Right, turn off the screen, turn off the TV. Sometimes you're sitting and the TV is on over there, and there are people who are at the table and they're listening there. Right, they're not paying attention here. Turn off the screen. Number two, use mealtime as a time to discuss each other's days, your day, and the goals for today, tomorrow. What are we doing? Use it as that time. Say, okay, when we sit down, all the screens go off and we're just going to talk about what we do. What was your day like? I think I mentioned that we set every week when we do our devotion, we talk about, okay, what am I grateful for? Great place at the table while you're eating to talk about what was the day like? What were some challenges? What were some successes? In our community, a meetup, when we first get together, as we are getting into our conversation for whatever the meeting is, then we talk about, okay, what is a success? What is a win that you had this week? Sometimes we get caught up in the negative, but share, okay, what's a win? Right? So turn off the screen, use the meal at time to discuss each other's day and what the goals are. And do some simple meals. You don't have to be elaborate, right? Sometimes it's just a sandwich. Soup and salad, right? Get everybody involved, even if schedules are tight. Make it a plan. How are we going to do that? In fact, I've been given the task in our house to be the one to schedule weekend events, right? Social events. So if you got some suggestions, send them to me, because I was thinking as we move into the new year, what are we going to be doing? We're set time specifically for that, right? So creating that space. The next thing is creating traditions and shared experiences. There's nothing like having a group of people that are going through something to solidify that relationship. Like the people you went through college with, the people who you pledged with, if you pledged when you were in college, the people who you graduated with, the people who were in your group, your batch, people you went to medical school with, the people that were, whatever it is, the shared experience connects us. There are people now that I still reach out to. I've got a couple of groups, right, on my phone. And every now and then, or I should say now and then, I send a message, right? Holidays coming up. So they're going to get a message here in a couple of days, in a day or so, right? As we get into Thanksgiving and Christmas and, right? So all those things. And so they are, and I'm going to say this now, they probably aren't aware, but they are part of my community. I mean, they know that they're part of my community, but I reach out to them. I know they're there. And there are times as I'm moving through my space, I'm moving through whatever, I'll just send a message, hey, how's everybody doing? And because it's a connection for me, because they have a shared experience with me. And when I reach out, even though everybody doesn't always say, hey, I'm doing fine, and everybody doesn't always send pictures, right? When I reach out to them, right, I am connected to them. So the shared experience is an amazing one. So begin creating shared experiences. Right? Often we kind of wait for, okay, when something magnificent happens, then we get a connection. No, create some experiences. Develop, say, okay, we're going to go and we're going to do this. Several years ago, and I'm not sure how many years ago now, we took a trip. We went to the beach. And it was the first time that we'd gone at that time of the year. But the next year I said, okay, no, let's go back. And next year something was coming up. I said, no, we're going back. And now that's our family tradition. We go that weekend. It doesn't matter what else is going on. As a matter of fact, we have not missed a year since then. So you can create traditions because the camaraderie, the connections that you have, the shared experience that you have pulls you together. So, for instance, weekly walk or bike rides. My wife and I, we go walking Friday, Saturday when we're able, and Sunday. That's what we do. And we talk, we walk, we look at the ducks, we look at the whatever's going on, and then we come home, and the first, after we get back to the house, we'll sit down for 30, 45 minutes and we'll just talk and plan. Hey, what's going on this week? Right? So that's our time. Do some family cooking nights. Hey, great time to develop some new recipes, develop some new tastes, right? Practice balanced bites. Hey, what are those things that we have that we like that we can now put together? Balanced bites. Try some nutritious recipes. Change the recipes, adjust them. Hey, how do we fix this? How do we fix that? Yeah. Talk about some of the health goals that you have. Hey, I'm trying to lose weight. Hey, I'm struggling here. Hey, whatever it is. Share, just like we share with each other here when I talk about the challenge, right? We talk about, hey, when you show up, tell us where you're having wins, what are some successes you're having, and then also tell us some of the things that are not going quite the way you thought they were going to go. So we can share for you, and we can encourage you for the places where you're having some challenges. We're going to actually see that again. So traditions are important because they foster connection and they provide a sense of belonging. We are built for community. We, as humans, are built for community. And so when we can strengthen the community, when we can create traditions where you are a part, I feel like I'm a part of that, right? That's what we do. That's what we are. We go away on this day. This is how we talk when we sit down. Oh, every Monday we go out for whatever it is. Create a tradition. And then, how do we overcome challenges? So here's some strategies for overcome challenges and staying connected in a world when it's busy, because it is busy, right? So schedule family time intentionally. It's not going to happen because your schedule is busy. The other people in your family schedule is busy. Like I just mentioned, my son is growing. And so I have a schedule. My wife has a schedule. He has a schedule. So we've got to coordinate all three of these schedules to be able to get everybody where they need to be and to have time together. And if we're not careful, honestly, we'll go through the entire week and we've not done for us what we need to do for family, for connection. Because there's a basketball game, there's piano lessons, there's the show that I'm doing, there's another show, I'm doing a check-in, right? My wife is doing her thing in her space. I'm seeing patients. We're at church. All of that. But you got to be intentional. Leverage technology. Do some virtual meetups. Just some random. Say, okay, hey, it's been a couple of days before we sat down, and I know everybody is in a space, and I just have a half an hour. I have an hour, but we're in different places. Let's talk. Technology is amazing. Use it. And then be flexible. flexible and compromise because you want to maintain those family bonds. Maintain those family bonds. This is a great place to talk about what's going on here in a couple of days. So you have an idea, and as we're talking, right, you're developing, you're thinking of the closeness, the bonds, the building that's going to happen. Be flexible and understand that it is a process. If you and your family have not been used to sitting down together and you show up one night and say, okay, everybody coming, we're sitting down and we're having dinner tonight, and from now on, guess what? They're going to get some pushback, particularly if you have older kids. Everybody has their own schedule, right? Everybody's used to being on their devices, being at a friend's house. That's not going to go easy. It's not going to go simply. So you got to ease into it. Same thing for what's going on here as we get into Thanksgiving and into the season. Allow for things not to go perfectly, but understand that every step that you take in that direction sets you up for success. Oh, what just happened there? Right? Every step that you take sets you up for success. And make sure that you are taking those steps, you're moving in that direction. Because if you don't move in that direction, it's just going to be another time that is not going to go the way you want it to go. And then celebrate. Celebrate your wins together. Celebrate your successes. Big wins, small wins, reinforce the wins, reinforce things, right? If you have academic achievements, right? We just did a honors ceremony here in town with our school age kids. Celebrate. Of course, as parents, we're snapping pictures, and my son's like, "What are you doing now?" Right? But yeah, I'm saying, yeah, because we've got we're recording this, we're celebrating. This is a great thing. And of course, when he's older, he'll say, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Celebrate the health milestones. Celebrate the fitness journey that you've been on. Do simple things to celebrate without breaking the bank. Get a certificate. In my office, when we have people who have reached an A1C that is in the target, that's below 7, for the first time, we make a big deal. We create a certificate. I take a picture with them, right? Celebrate those. And in your family, there are some health goals that you've reached. You've lost weight. Your A1C is for the first time in below 7. You are off medications. You feel healthy. You feel strong. You feel like you have energy. You're able to sleep. Those are wins that you can celebrate. Because what we're doing is we're creating for ourselves the thing that is going to help propel us into success. Remember, we're living limitless lives, right? Limitless living. And limitless living says there's nothing inside of me and there's nothing outside of me that's going to prevent me from doing what I need to do to set myself up to be healthy. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Now, so Ji-Yun, you didn't remind me, and I didn't remember that I was supposed to do a check-in. So let's go ahead and let's do a check-in. So as we talk about fasting, and now I'm 30, almost 31 and a half hours into this week's fast. Places where people talk about some of the challenges they have are how they feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. So physically, I am feeling energetic. I'm feeling strong. I'm not feeling like I'm dull. I'm not feeling like I'm fatigued. I did a good job of sleeping. And I did one of the reasons that I couldn't show the glucose report was I just upgraded my system and I got a new computer, and for some reason it won't display that, right? That monitor. But I was up last night doing that, and you will be proud of me. Even though I had a new toy, I did not stay up all night working on it. I set it to transfer the data, and I went to sleep. Although I fell asleep right here on the floor until this morning when my wife walked by. I bet she thought I was crazy. But yeah, all the lights were on. All the lights, right? All of these lights were on, and I said, okay, I'm just gonna lay down for a minute and come back up. And next thing I knew it was the morning. Right? So I got good rest. The mental part coincides with the physical, because if you're not well rested. Oh, let me go back to physical for a minute. So I'm not feeling lightheaded, sweaty, dizzy. I'm not feeling palpitations like my heart's racing or skipping a beat. All of those I'm not feeling right now. People will say, though, particularly people who are on who've not done a good job of resting, they've not done a good job of drinking water, so staying hydrated, or if they're on medication like diabetes medications that haven't been adjusted. Okay, you can feel those as well. So always make sure that you're checking with your family doctor, your healthcare provider, and your healthcare team. So the mental goes in conjunction with the physical, because if you're not feeling well, then you don't think well. And I'm not feeling dull. I'm not feeling like foggy headed. I'm not feeling as though I'm in a bubble. And these are phrases that people use because I think I rested. And of course, I was excited to be here, and I'm excited about the season. And when I get off here, I've got some cooking that I'm going to be starting. Right. So all of that, just the excitement of that. So mental, I'm feeling energetic. My thought process is good. And then, of course, that leads into the emotional. I'm not feeling sad. I'm not feeling depressed. I'm not feeling despondent. I am actually looking forward to some time off, first of all. Some time to hang out with the family. We're going to go to some friend's house. Just looking forward to that. And so for me, this is a great space. This is a great space to be in. All right. And then I see that, Gian, you had a couple of questions. Let's see if I can grab those really quickly. I think I starred one of them up here. Let's see. There's one. Actually, you said there were a couple of questions that you had. Okay, here we are. All right. So let's start with the first one. Okay. So the first question was, actually, that was just a comment that you had there. Let me take that one off. Let's get for the question. So have you heard of carnivore? Yeah, so the carnivore diet is a diet, and so most of the diets that you have have one of two intentions. Right. So one, we're dealing, I shouldn't say one of two. So we're dealing with metabolic diseases, right? So obesity, cholesterol, high blood pressure, blood sugar. So that's one. Or we are just kind of trying to be well, right? So there's wellness. So not necessarily that we're looking at a specific disease process or particular thing, but we're trying to just be well. And so the carnivore diet is back up. And so a lot of diets, one of the ways that they improve whatever they're looking at is by restricting carbs and decreasing calories. Okay, you want to lose weight, cut back on the calories, cut back on the carbs. If you want to improve blood sugar, cut back on the calories, cut back on the carbs. One of the things that we do, right, in fasting is we cover a lot of that with the fasting process, because we're cutting back on calories, we're cutting back on carbs, right, reducing sugar. That's one of the pillars. We're improving our health, we're improving our weight, improving our blood sugar, improving our cholesterol, improving our hypertension, right? And so the carnivore diet is a diet that is very carb restricted. So if you want to lose weight, then you cut back on carbs. If you want to improve blood sugar, you cut back on carbs. If you want to improve hypertension, you cut back on carbs. Now, one thing that we don't talk about is you can cut back on carbs and also improve your cholesterol, but that's another conversation, right? But so the carnivore diet is a diet that is designed to reduce carbohydrates. The ketogenic diet is one that's designed to reduce carbohydrates. The low carb diet is one that's designed to reduce carbohydrates. So a lot of diets that are out there, one of the key features of them is that we're cutting back on carbohydrates. And carnivore is probably the prototypic cutting back on carbohydrates, because you're essentially not taking any in. Okay, so that was one, and then. So then Juyeon was asking, what is buffering? So I was thinking, I was talking about buffering versus coping. So when things happen in our lives, we could respond by avoiding them, by putting up barriers that block us from having to deal with them, by ignoring them and procrastinating, or we can face them and deal with the issue. And so buffering is the thing that we do that basically gets us feeling good for the moment, but doesn't deal with the issue. So we drink alcohol because we feel good, but we never deal with the issue. We get involved with drugs and sex and gambling because for the moment it makes us feel good, but it doesn't deal with the issue. We eat because it makes us feel good, but it doesn't deal with the issue. So that's what buffering is. Coping, on the other hand, says that I'm going to be present. I'm going to face this. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to maybe be in some pain right now, but in the long run, this is helping me be in the space that I want to be in. And that's one of the things that you'll hear me continue talking about when we talk about limitless living. Limitless living says that all of those buffering behaviors, I've got to translate, I've got to reduce those, and I've got to begin coping with the things. So I'm not hiding anymore, because hiding is a limiting behavior. I'm not buffering anymore because buffering is a limiting behavior. I'm coping. So I'm living a limitless life. I'm not allowing those things around me that are in me, thoughts, feelings, memories, ways of doing things, habits, or I'm not allowing other people, whether they make me angry or frustrated or hurt my feelings. I'm not allowing any of that from the outside or anything from inside to prevent me from setting myself up to doing the things I need to do to be healthy. All right, so that's what buffering is. Great question, Jiyeon. I like that. And she said, I don't have a good relationship with my family. Who only love is my daughter. So love with your daughter. I'm glad that you have someone there with you, your daughter. And you're going to have to, when we do our community meetup, show us a picture of her. We'd love to see her. One of the things that I want to, and this is a great place to talk about this. I mentioned near the top of the show that our relationships with our families, or our families, look different. They don't all look the same. Families don't all look the same. They're different members, different components, different number of people, different interaction. Our goal in our limitless living, our goal is to develop healthy relationships. Healthy relationships. Now, there are some people that we are currently connected to that we don't have healthy relationships with. And so limitless living says that's a relationship that I've got to evaluate and see, is that am I able to transform that relationship into a relationship that pushes me in the direction of being healthy, right? Does that relationship support me in the way I want to eat? Does that relationship support me in the health changes I need to make? Does that relationship cause me so much stress that now I'm eating, I'm buffering, right? So how do I cope with the relationship? How do I adjust the relationship? How do I interact with that person in a different way so that it does not make me buffer? So I don't choose to buffer. So there are relationships where, yeah, it's going to take work. It's going to take help. It's going to take some professional help. There's going to be a lot of things that we're going to have to get into and get through so that we can live that limitless life. So thank you for sharing about your family. It is a thing. Right? We all have family members. We all have relationships. We all have places in our families where, yeah, that's not how I want to roll, but this is where we are. And okay, now as we approach limitless living, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Okay. Let's see. And Gion says fasting. I think says she thinks she couldn't make it. And Gion, remember, always, it is a work in progress. And we're always moving in, we're always trying to make progress, not necessarily be perfect. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's take a look at my ketones. What do you think my ketones are? Let's go here. So I've got my monitor. This is my Keto Mojo. Put that right there. And then I'll need to go over and grab my Keto Mojo app. It says I've been logged out. So hold on a second. Let me get back in there. So logging back in. And let's see. See if that works. All right. So yeah, so I'm back in. And it is syncing. Oh, I've got to turn this on. That's the other thing. So it has to be on for it to sync. All right. So, look at all that. It pulled all that stuff down. So let's see. So my glucose was 130. No, that's from yesterday. Let's go ahead and sync it again. I think it was pulling from, thing I've never synced this one, but that's not true. We've seen this. So it may take it a minute to get through all of the data. Okay. So while that's doing that, let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about, well, not a little bit, but let's talk. Remember, unlimited living. You have unlimited potential. You have the ability at your fingertips. You have within you the ability to chart your metabolic, your health destiny. You can make choices right now that will set you up for health in the future. The things that you've done in the past, the mistakes you've made, the missteps that you've made, the complications that have happened as a result of that, that's in the past. Limitless living says that I'm not looking back there and pining over that. I am not in the process of living in regret. It happened. I should not have done that. Maybe I should have made different choices, but that's the choice I made. And now, what do I do from now going forward? Limitless living says, I'm giving that up. I'm not forgetting, but I'm letting go of that, and I'm moving into the future. Remember, you have the ability in your space. You have the ability to chart the course of your health. And we do that as we talk about the Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. The shows that we do, the blogs that we do, the podcasts that we do, all of that is with the intention of educating. We empower with the tools that we're learning, and we encourage with the community that you're a part of. Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. The other fascinating tool that we've learned and that you'll hear more and more of is this concept of balanced bites. We fuel our body. The things that we eat fuel our body, and we want to make sure that they are balanced, because if they're balanced, the balanced bites also hit the 3 pillars of reversing diabetes. Because if it's balanced, then we are not eating things that are highly processed. We're not eating things that are highly sugary. We're not eating things that are fundamentally or full of carbs. Right? We're balancing it. If we do that, we reduce sugar. Right? There you go. If we reduce sugar, then the body doesn't have to produce that much insulin, and we don't have to take that much insulin from outside. So we've decreased insulin. And because insulin goes down, and because of the things that happen to our palate and to our taste as we are working, as we're developing a new way of eating, then our appetite is suppressed. So once again, all three pillars are hit by balanced bites. So we're fueling our body. Every bite counts. Every bite counts. And so we're balancing what we're doing. Limitless Living says that we are going to be conscious. We are going to pay attention to what we're eating. Now, and let me say this to you. That does not mean that you are never going to eat ice cream, or that you're never going to have pasta, or you're never going to, whatever the thing is that you like. That doesn't mean that. It means, but that the general trend of what you're eating is looking to see what are the healthy things that I can eat. What are the things that are going to set me up for metabolic health? What are the things that are going to help me with the pillars? What are the choices I'm going to make to be balanced, right? So balanced bites. And balanced bites. So whole foods, right? Whole foods first. Minimize processing. Minimize the processed foods. No added sugar, or decrease the added sugar. A lean protein, healthy fats. Starchy and non-starchy vegetables, right? Because you're going to eat things that are flavorful, tasty, and the appropriate portion size. Because a lot of times it's not that we're eating the wrong thing, but we're just eating too much of the right thing. Okay. All right. And I think this is back. So let's go ahead and let's take a look here now. So let's see, success. So 691 was my blood sugar, and then 0.9 were the ketones. And remember, ketones, when we talk about ketones that are 0.5, less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. So as we talk about the metabolic space, and we talk about ketogenic diet, as we talk about losing weight and diabetes and insulin sensitivity and so forth, we want ketones to be 0.5 or higher. Because 0.5 or higher, that's when we're burning sugar, we're burning fat for ketones. And there's a whole process that we'll talk about. Join us on Friday when we do our complete review of fasting, right? So join us tomorrow as we're continuing our fast. Remember, this week we're skipping Thursday, because we normally do Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This week we're doing Tuesday tonight, Wednesday. We're skipping Thursday for Thanksgiving, and then we're coming back on Friday and doing our show then. Okay, but 0.9 is where we are right now. I love that, because that means that my body is burning this stuff right here, y'all. I want to get rid of some more of this. I've got a few more things that I'm working on, and you guys have seen my weight journey. We'll spend more time as we get into the new season talking about that, right? That's whole part of the limitless living. If you were here last night, you saw me kind of roll out some of that. We'll do a lot more of that as we get into future shows. All right. So thank you. So my ketones, I love where they are. When you are here, right? When you are here, I want you to remember, I shouldn't say when you're here, but in your health journey, remember there are things that are going to push you. There are things that are going to push buttons. There are triggers, and the triggers are given by our HEAT model: habits, emotions, access, and taste. The habits that we form, the routines that we have, the ways we have of dealing with things, those habits will push us to eat. We eat because it's time to eat. We eat not because we're hungry, but it's that we went to the movie, so we're going to have popcorn. Somebody came to visit us, and we're going to sit down. We're going to have coffee. We're going to have tea. We're going to have some muffins. We're going to have a bagel. Not because we're hungry, but just that's what we do. Some of us, notice I say us, on Thanksgiving are going to sit, and there are some things that we really don't want it, but we're going to eat it because that's just what we do. So habits, emotions, when those emotions have gotten so high, when you're mad enough, when you're sad enough, when you're depressed enough, lonely enough, tired enough, when you're frustrated enough, that emotion is going to push through your decision that you made to not eat something or to eat in a different way. So managing emotions, limitless living, managing emotions. Access, when things are around us. We eat not because we want it, but it's there. The emotions came. If it weren't there, we wouldn't have eaten it, but it's there. We didn't clean up the environment, and boom, there it is. And then we eat because of taste, because the taste reminds us of something. It reminds us of how we felt, how that thing, what that thing did to us, the time that our parents were with us, the calm that we had, the security that we felt. All of those are reasons why we eat. Habits, emotions, access, and taste. Understanding your triggers are important because you can then, once you understand the trigger, the question is, okay, what do we do now about it? And that's where the COPE model, where clarify, observe, pause, and execute. We'll talk more about that as we get into other shows. When you show up, join the challenges. Don't let these just be shows that you listen to that are on the shelf. Each month we have a challenge. We have another one coming up next month. This is your opportunity to practice the things that we're learning. You cannot get better. We cannot improve. We cannot be successful unless we practice. If you play an instrument, if you're in a sport, if you work on a job, if you're learning a new skill, you can't just show up and do it. You have to practice over and over and over and over again. And this space is exactly the same. The things that we want to do, the successes that we want to have, it takes over and over and over and over. It takes practice. Yep, it takes practice. And so we're in the process of doing that. Also, share your story. If you're having successes, let us know. We can celebrate. Yeah. If you're having challenges, let us know. So we can come by and we could surround you, let you know that you're not by yourself. And we, as a community, know that we're not by ourselves. And then invite someone. Let them know that there's a place where they can go, where they can become metabolically healthy, where we're working to improve our metabolism, we're working to reverse our diabetes. And there are so many resources and shows that we've done where we talk about the process. Let people know that they can come and they can be in this space with that. So invite someone to the space. And as always, I'm happy to be here. Remember, tomorrow we will do another check-in. On Thursday, we'll take a break for Thanksgiving. Come back on Friday where we do our review. On Saturday, videos from the vault, 9 p.m. Central. And then on Sunday morning, This Week in Review, 6 a.m. Central. And then Monday, coming back. And we'll be in the saddle once again for Dwain Woode, MD. Make sure that you're here. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the questions that are out there, whatever platform you're on. Enjoy family. Enjoy the family that you have. And we are working, we are intentionally working on creating a space with our relationships so that we can be healthy and we could live that limitless life. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And in this year, new you. All right, we'll see you at our next show. Bye-bye.